Behaviors improve most when there are strong and consistent benefits from behaving effectively, but not from negative behaviors, and when ineffective behaviors bring negative consequences. Positive consequences are called reinforcement, and negative consequences are called punishment. It's most effective to rely on collaborative conversations and reinforcement to influence your teen rather than use punishment. Ideally, your teen would experience at least 5 times as many praises than reprimands, and at least 5 times as many rewards than punishments. It's also most effective to use natural consequences rather than reinforcement and punishment based on a contrived system of rules, which often makes it all seem way too controlling and punitive, which creates more conflict and creates more emotion dysregulation and problem behaviors in the long run. Written consequence plans, which we call reward plans, are a comprehensive set of arbitrary or contrived consequences that can sometimes be very helpful, but can also cause more problems, and are often not needed. We prefer you to delay written consequence plans until your therapists say that you have exhausted all other options. Research has shown that there must be many more positive than negative interactions to maintain good relationships and change others' behaviors. This balance activates strong collaboration, which is crucial for changing difficult behaviors. Our main positive strategies are praise, reinforcement, listening, validation, encouragement, support, and doing pleasant activities together. We need those to far exceed the amount you make demands, give your teen negative feedback, judge or punish them, or express frustration or anger towards them. To succeed, there has to be at least 5 times as many positive than negative interactions, and some research suggests that it has to exceed 10 to 1 to succeed. This image shows how we fail when we have more negatives. Reinforcement is when a person gets more positives after their positive behaviors. Their positive behaviors bring positive consequences, which then increase the probability of their future behaviors. This happens when parents give approval through praise by increasing warmth and attention and giving their teen more of what they want. Punishment is when a person gets more negatives or less positives after their harmful behaviors. Their negative behaviors bring negative consequences, which then decrease the probability of their future behaviors. This happens when parents express disapproval through negative feedback or reprimands, offer fewer privileges and favors, reduce warmth and attention, and add burdensome chores or responsibilities. To praise your teen, start by telling them exactly what they did that was effective. For example, they accepted a no gracefully by responding with a gentler tone or words and gently walking away. They started or completed a task more quickly or more effectively. They got out of bed earlier or started homework sooner. Praise behaviors rather than outcomes. It's less effective to say, "I'm so proud of you for getting better grades this term." Instead say, "I'm happy that you attended so many more days of school lately, started studying so much earlier most nights, and turned in so many more assignments." It's less effective to say, "I appreciate that we had such an enjoyable day together today." Instead say, "I appreciate that today you were so gentle and friendly, including when you gracefully accepted me telling you that I couldn't buy you what you wanted." It's less effective to say, "I appreciate that you got to school on time today." Instead say, "Thank you for getting out of bed earlier today and getting in the car earlier." Express your approval with I statements, like, "I really appreciate that. I'm so happy that you. It made me feel so cared about. It really helped me enjoy my day. I feel like celebrating that difficult thing you did today." And of course, you would be very specific about what they did. Avoid bland praise. Instead, show your appreciation with your warmth or enthusiastic voice tone, and possibly touch, like an affectionate touch on their shoulder. Express approval with eye contact and a warm look, rather than a thank you that you call out while you're walking away. Don't praise traits. For example, there's a lot of research showing that praising academic success by telling teens, "you're so smart," is often quite harmful, reducing effort and creating fears of failing and perfectionistic standards. Instead, praise academic behaviors, like, "I'm so happy that most nights you've started studying so much earlier and turned off the games earlier. Thanks so much." This video shows how therapists use praise with younger children. You'll see how effective praise includes specific behavior feedback and shows the parent's positive emotional reaction. Keep in mind that you have to adjust the intensity of your voice tone and physical touch to match the age of your teen and their preferences. Younger children need more enthusiasm than teens. Your teen needs to see a positive shift in your tone while perceiving you as genuine.
Okay, so we're working on Gavin's listening. Okay, so we really want to strengthen that behavior because right now he's not very skilled at following directions.
Right.
So one way to really strengthen that behavior is to praise him every single time he follows a direction. So when you praise, you want to be so enthusiastic that he's following that direction. So you want to sound thrilled. You also want to be very specific when he follows a direction. So whatever he's done, you specifically want to say, "Thank you so much for putting your toys away. Thank you so much for putting your toys in the toy box." And then the third thing is you always want to touch, okay? So that if you pair touch with your praise, you're really going to strengthen that behavior much faster. All right, so I'm going to prompt you to put your toys in the toy box.
Okay.
And be cooperative so I can show you how to praise. Gavin, please put your toys in the toy box. Oh my gosh, that's great! You put your toys in the toy box first time asked. That's excellent. Okay, so when I just praised, I was really enthusiastic, I was specific, and I touched.
Okay.
All right, so I'd like you to do the same thing. And remember,
Okay.
when you prompt, you want to put it in statement form.
Okay. Please put your toys in the toy box. Great job. You put your toys in the toy box.
Okay, so you came right over, you touched, you were so specific. That is excellent. All right, now I want you to really sound thrilled. Because remember, I did that first time asked. You didn't have to repeat yourself.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
All right.
Okay, please put your toys in the toy box. Great job!
Yay!
High five!
Wow! All right, so you really got the enthusiasm up. That's excellent, and you included the touch. Now, specific. So great job putting the toys in the toy box. I know it's a lot to remember, but this is really going to help increase this behavior of following directions.
Okay, I'll try.
All right.
Please put your toys in the toy box. Great job, you put your toys in the toy box.
Touch. Wow, great. Okay, so you were so enthusiastic and you were specific and you got the touch in there. All right, let's do it all together. So again, you're going to be really enthusiastic.
Okay.
You're going to be specific. You're going to tell me what exactly I did, and you're going to give me like a nice touch or a hug.
Okay.
All right.
Please put your toys in the toy box.
Okay, toys in the toy box.
Great job, you put your toys in the toy box the first time.
Wow, that was excellent. Okay, you were so enthusiastic. You touched, and you were really specific.
So what you saw was someone praising a child, but it's different from the praise that one's usually familiar with. This had 3 ingredients, and they're really very important. The praise, the statement, the enthusiasm is one. The second one is saying exactly what it was that you're praising. This great, or that was good, not good enough. Exactly what was the child doing. And third, some physical touch. Putting these 3 things together as a package makes an enormous difference. If it seems awkward at first, it'll become natural as you practice it. It'll make an enormous difference in your child. You may need to practice being more enthusiastic if you currently sound like this.
Thanks for turning off the TV.
Even this level of enthusiasm may not be enough.
Thanks for turning off the TV.
Let your child hear how absolutely thrilled you are by her good behavior.
Thanks so much for turning off the TV.
Now, you may think that the tone of voice I urge parents to use when praising is a little too much. You may feel self-conscious or unnatural. This is understandable, but really do try to overcome these feelings. The research shows that the enthusiasm in your praise is really important when it comes to changing your child's behavior.
Bribes are rewards that you promise in advance, and they're considered arbitrary or contrived reinforcement, in contrast to natural reinforcement. Bribes have big disadvantages. They often very effectively increase compliance in the short term, but are harmful in the long term. There will often be much less compliance in the long term because the teen refuses to comply without bribes. They've learned that refusing to do things increases opportunities for bribes. Do not give a reward before your teen completes the task. That's the least effective. Natural reinforcement is much more effective. One example is when you show extra positive attention and warmth in the hours after you see their improved behaviors, which I call the warm shoulder. It's the opposite of giving someone the cold shoulder. Natural reinforcement is one way to do more positive things for your teen soon after you see their improved behaviors. Here's how to do natural reinforcement by doing something your teen wants after they show an improved behavior. You would give them something they recently asked for, or come up with a reward spontaneously in the moment. It should not look like you planned it in advance. Usually, you would also praise the behavior, which means telling them exactly which behaviors you appreciated. Their behavior made you feel good, and your good feeling is creating this reward naturally, rather than you following a rule that good behavior gets rewards. Just like with praise, express warmth, enthusiasm, or appreciation feelings as you offer the reward. Communicate it with eye contact and your voice tone, and possibly a small physical touch during the praise. Consider small favors too, like bringing a drink to their room while warmly saying, "I appreciate you," or letting them choose what you'll have for dinner. If they like physical touch, you could offer a back rub. Sometimes you'll need to wait for the next favor request. Try your best to say yes, even if it would be inconvenient or a hassle. Convey that the favor is because their behavior put you in a good mood. You could say something like, "It would be difficult for me to do that right now, and I don't want to spend that money, but I'll go out of my way here because I want you to know how much I really appreciate what you did yesterday." For praise and reinforcement to work, you have to do it frequently. The bigger ones, like several times per week. The smaller ones, almost every day, like when you make eye contact and warmly say thank you for what they just did, without saying more. Or small favors like bringing them special snacks or drinks during their study time, or on days when they have gentler behavior. Oftentimes, to have enough opportunities to praise and reinforce, you have to lower the bar quite a bit. That means praising noticeable improvements, even when what you are seeing is quite far from what is needed. For verbal aggression, you would say, "Thank you for using a gentler tone," which means their voice is less loud than before, even though it still sounds too harsh or loud. Rather than praising outcomes, praise the behaviors that create those outcomes. When the problem has been poor grades, instead of waiting to praise better grades, you would say, "I'm happy you've been starting your homework so much earlier most nights and turned in so many more assignments, even though they may still need to do much more." When the problem has been school tardiness, instead of praising arrival times, you would say, "Thank you for getting out of bed earlier today," even if they still got to school late. When you know that much more improvement is needed, sometimes you can ask them to do even better. Don't say, "Thank you, but it's not good enough," or "but you should be doing much more." Instead, slowly transition with the word "and." "Thank you for starting your homework earlier today. And it would be great if you could start even earlier tomorrow, please. I really appreciate you turning off your game earlier today. And it would be great if you could turn it off even sooner next time." Thank you for your gentler response just now, and I would really appreciate it if you used an even softer voice next time, please. I really appreciate you getting out of bed earlier today, and it would be great if you got out of bed even earlier tomorrow. Thank you. The research on punishment is very clear. Punishment is not effective in the long term, even though sometimes it works in the short term. It fuels resentments and retaliation. It increases conflict and harms relationships. Try not to use punishments and threats. Use them very sparingly. Avoid comments like, if you don't do your homework, I'll take away your phone. If you don't do your chores, I'll take away your video game. Instead, rely on collaborative conversations and praise as much as possible. As needed, use the most effective punishment strategies, which are reprimands and natural punishment, which include cold shoulder, favor lockdown, and interpersonal repair. Reprimands are the opposite of praise. When a negative behavior is occurring, express disapproval with your words and non-verbally with a slight facial expression or voice tone. Calmly and briefly ask your teen to stop their current problem behaviors. Stay calm and avoid anger. Give non-judgmental disapproval comments like, I really don't like that behavior, or I really don't want you to do that, and be very specific. It often helps to add in your emotions like, it really stresses me out, or it hurts my feelings, or I'm disappointed you did that. Be careful about over-talking when verbally correcting their behaviors, because it can sometimes increase their problem behaviors. Sometimes misbehaviors function to get attention, any form of attention. It's called negative attention when negative behaviors are rewarded by parent reprimands. In those situations, it's most effective to completely ignore the behaviors in those moments by physically disengaging and saying nothing, and to address the behavior later with a give dear man conversation or consequences, or talking it through thoroughly during a family therapy session. It's really hard to know which strategy to use, so ask your parent training therapist if you need help deciding which strategies to use. It can be very confusing. The main tools for natural punishment are cold shoulder and withholding favors, which we call favor lockdown. It's important that you make the intensity and duration of cold shoulder and favor lockdown in proportion to the transgression and their efforts to improve. How severe was their most recent behavior? How recently did it happen? How often has it been happening lately? Have they been working on it actively in therapy? Have they been doing decent repairs for other recent slips? When doing the cold shoulder, look bland, detached, disappointed, hurt, or demoralized in your voice and in your facial expressions. Have minimal eye contact, redirecting your attention to your own activities or your work. Give very brief answers to what they say, like, I don't know, I see, or even just, and then walk away. It's often helpful to not explain it all until they ask, and avoid looking angry. In doing favor lockdown, it's best to avoid quickly announcing it, which could look more like strategic punishment rather than natural punishment. Like if you were to quickly say, because of what you just did, I will not be doing any favors for you. Sounds too punitive. Instead, you can wait for their next favor request and say, I'm not really in the mood to do that for you since I'm still hurt by how you insulted me earlier today. Or you could say, I'm not really up for that now. I'm still so stressed by what you did earlier today that I need the rest of today for self-care. Maybe I'll take a hot bath and then watch my favorite show. Another option is to cancel planned favors or outings, or end a favor that is currently underway. Sometimes you can give a mini lecture on relationship reciprocity by saying that you are not in a giving mood to do what they want when they don't do what you want, if your relationship with them is unbalanced. At some point, you will likely want to ask them to do a formal repair, rather than demanding it by saying, "You have to give me a repair now." Say something like, "Can you please do a repair so we can move on?" You can wait until they comment on your cold shoulder behaviors, like when they ask you, "Why are you barely talking to me?" Or you can wait for their next favor request and say, "First, I would like you to do a repair," and be very specific about which behavior on which day. You may want to use the repair checklist to ensure that the repair process is clear and thorough. If you need more help with repairs, please watch our repair video and review our handout, Getting Your Teen to Do Interpersonal Repair. The double chore consequence skill is useful to avoid arguments about the completion of chores and other tasks like homework when normal prompting, praise, natural consequences, and conversations aren't enough. Before you engage with your teen about their procrastination, be prepared. Specifically, be ready to stay calm and have a second task or chore identified. Something not too easy and not too hard. Perhaps something taking about 5 to 15 minutes to complete. First, tell them which task was not yet done. It can help to give them the courtesy of a micro-validation on why it wasn't done yet. Make a clear, calm request about what you are asking them to do right now, which we define as starting the task within 5 seconds. Do not threaten anything at this first request. Don't mention the second task quite yet. Wait in silence for 5 seconds, and if they argue, resist the urge to defend why your request is justified. The only things to say are micro-validations like, "I'm sorry this interruption is a downer," and you can tell them you can reevaluate the situation with chores as soon as they complete the current ones. If they haven't started the task after those 5 seconds, ask them again to start the task and explain the second chore or task they will have to complete if they don't start the first task immediately. And tell them you'll freeze their current activity until both tasks are done. This often means taking a piece of the entertainment technology that they are enjoying right now and that's interfering with them getting the task done. You can hold their phone or video game controls or plug. Of course, if they start the first task during this process, say thank you and end the skill. This skill is less effective if you ask for them to do a task in the future, or if there's only a future consequence like, "I won't take you to the concert on Friday," or if you don't immediately block the current valued activity. Some parents add a second chore but don't immediately block the current valued activity, like by holding the phone or the game, which often leads to the teen protesting by procrastinating both tasks for a very long time as they continue to enjoy their current entertainment activity. Some parents don't add a second chore and they rely on saying they'll hold the phone or game until the first chore is done, which often leads to the teen protesting by procrastinating the chore for a very long time, especially if the teen just had quite a bit of fun. They've had enough. So it may not be enough of a consequence. There are physical devices you can buy to lock up electric plugs, like this one. If they still haven't started the primary task after 5 seconds after the consequence warning, implement the consequence. Tell them you'll give them back their item or turn it back on after both tasks are completed. Do not get into a physical fight if they resist you taking it. If that happens, you may need to set up another method for next time, like shutting off your home's Wi-Fi or shutting off their phone or computer remotely with advanced controls. Do not defend or justify your request. Tell them you can reevaluate the situation with assigning chores and other tasks after the current tasks are completed. Here's an example of the double chore consequence skill in action. I would start by saying something like, "Hey, I see you haven't started the dishes. What's going on?" And after they gave their answer, I would say, okay, I see. So you got a little bit distracted there. That's all right. Can you please start it now?
That's not fair.
If you don't start the dishes now, then you'll also have to clean up the dog poop in the backyard. And I'll hold your phone until you complete both tasks.
Why are you always ordering me around? Do this, do that. To be honest, I can't wait to become an adult so I wouldn't have to follow your ridiculous rules.
Okay, then I'll just hold on to your phone for a bit and let me know when you finish the dishes and picking up all the poop, and then I'll give it back. Here's an example focused on getting the teen to start their homework when gaming is interfering. The second chore will be taking care of the dishes. I see it's already past 6 o'clock. Please turn that off and start your homework now. If you don't start your homework now, then you'll also have to wash the dishes in the kitchen. And I'll stop your game until you complete both your homework and the dishes. Okay, I'll stop your game for a bit. Let me know when your homework and the dishes are both done. Written reward plans are options when collaborative conversations, praise, natural consequences, and the double chore consequence skill have not adequately improved noncompliance, aggression, and serious rule violations. A full written reward plan clearly specifies the desired behaviors and a set of rewards that the parents will only give when there have been sufficient behaviors to earn the rewards. This usually means that parents will now withhold things that the teen wants that they had been getting even when the teen had problematic behaviors. This often means the teen will view the reward plan as a punishment intervention, and they will see the parents as taking away things they're entitled to that they had been getting much easier. Therefore, a full reward plan can increase conflict and aggression and should only be implemented after all the DBT therapists think you have exhausted parent skills and family therapy. If you haven't yet tried family therapy, ask your therapist about setting it up and when a written reward plan might make sense for your teen.